I want to thank Mike Stricker for the great reading today, and Gary Lynn Floyd, Karen Drucker, and our CSL music team for the wonderful music that supports the message. This month of March, our theme is Choosing to Live, and we're concluding our month with our topic, You. Not the self you criticize, not the self that you think you should be, but the real you, the living, breathing, divine expression of life itself. You know, Ernest Holmes reminds us, you are not a physical being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And what a rich experience it is. Body, mind, energy, creativity, possibility. And yet, do you ever feel like you sabotage yourself from living your best life? Hey, I know I do. I think we all do that. So the question is, are you willing to expect more good in your life? And while you ponder that question, let me give you your question for the week. What is the one choice you might make today to see moving the body as a spiritual experience? To expect more good in your life and to learn more about your unique life force. One more time. What is the one choice you might make today to see moving the body as a spiritual act, to expect more good in your life, and to learn more about your unique life force? So let me begin with something simple. You have a body. And if you're like most of us, it occasionally makes mysterious noises, and it definitely didn't come with a manual. But here's the truth. Your body is not an obstacle to spirituality. It is a vehicle of it. The Buddha taught us this. To keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep our mind strong and clear. In science of mind, we understand that life is expressing through us, and the body is one of its primary instruments. So the question becomes, are you allowing life to flow, or are you holding it still? Movement is circulation. And when we move, energy flows, emotions release, creativity awakens. Every gentle movement, walking, stretching, dancing, signals the mind, life is happening here. Lao Tzu said this, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Watch nature. Nothing is stagnant, everything flows. So let's take a look at a spiritual practice that can help you move your body. I call it the 5-minute daily movement ritual. Every day, put on music you like and move your body. No choreography is required, just let your body lead. And no judgment. This is not a performance, it's just movement. You might add this affirmation. How is it I so easily see I am alive and allow life to flow through me? You know, I tried to start exercising daily. I bought the outfit, I bought the shoes, I even bought the water bottle. And it turns out, none of those things move your body for you. Darn. But I learned another lesson as well. We can have lots of spiritual books on our shelves. We can buy robes and spiritual jewelry. And in reality, we eventually discover the truth. Spirituality also requires participation. And for us to expand spiritually, now that we have our temples on this planet moving, let's talk about expectations. Many of us have been conditioned to expect problems and disappointments in life. You might have even grown up hearing these words: don't get your hopes up. But science of mind teaches thought creates experience. And Ernest Holmes says we must expect more good in our lives than we have ever experienced before. Let that sink in for a moment. We must experience more good in our lives than we have ever experienced before. He didn't say hope for more good, and he didn't say wish for more good. He said expect more good. This matters because expectation is a creative act. When you expect more love, you notice it. When you expect more opportunity, you recognize it. And when you expect more joy, you allow it to show up in your life. A Course in Miracles even tells us, I am entitled to miracles. Here's the catch. You have to believe you're entitled to miracles. There was a man who constantly went to the same restaurant, and all he would say is, I'll have water. The waiter said, are you sure? We have an incredible menu. But the man always replied, no, just water. That's what I always get. Day after day, he ordered water. Until one day, the waiter said to him, sir, you keep ordering water. Do you realize you're sitting in a 5-star restaurant? The man paused, and then he realized he never believed he could order anything other than water. So grab the good when it's presented to you. That man is each of us. Life is offering abundance, and we keep ordering limitation. So let's look at a spiritual practice that might help us to expect more good in our lives. I call it raise the order. Every morning, ask yourself this question: what good can I expect today? Then answer it. Train your mind to look for the good. The Dalai Lama reminds us happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. And expectations is one of those actions. And don't forget the words of Ernest Holmes that we heard in our reading today. We should confidently expect a greater good than we have ever experienced or than we have ever known of anyone experiencing. Wow, is that not what we all want? Greater good? I know that's what I want. There was a woman once who inherited an old violin from her grandmother. It sat in the attic for years, dusty, slightly out of tune, forgotten. Every so often she would think about it and say, I really should learn to play that violin someday. But life was busy, responsibilities, obligations, and a quiet voice inside her kept whispering, you're probably not musical anyway. One afternoon, during a particularly reflective season of her life, she climbed up to the attic, picked up the violin, brushed off the dust, and for the first time, held it with intention. It felt awkward. The sounds were scratchy and uncertain, but something stirred within her, so she kept going. Day after day, just for a few minutes at a time, she practiced. Sure, at first it was frustrating. Her fingers didn't cooperate, the notes didn't quite land, but then something shifted. One evening, as the light softened through a window, she drew the bow across the strings, and a clear, beautiful tone emerged. It surprised her, not because the violin was special, because she was. Over time, She didn't just learn to play the violin, she discovered something deeper. There was music in her that was waiting patiently and quietly for her to listen. And what she came to understand was this: the violin always had the capacity for music, but the music it now made could only come through her hands, her timing, her touch. No one else played it quite the same way. So, how often do you think that we need to become different to be special? The truth is, we're the instrument and the musician. And the more time we spend listening, practicing, exploring, the more we discover there is a song within us that has never been played before. And it's not waiting for perfection, it's waiting for our participation. But before I continue, let me tell you one more little short story about a man in a coffee shop. He went to the same coffee shop every day, and every day he walked in, he smiled politely and ordered the same exact thing: small black coffee. No cream, no sugar, no variation. The barista, who had been working there for years, began to notice something. On the menu behind him were dozens of options: lattes, cappuccinos, cold brews, flavored blends, seasoned specialties. One morning, she finally asked the man, "Have you ever tried anything else?" He laughed a little. "Oh no, I'm not really a fancy coffee person. This is just me." She smiled and said, "Are you sure that's you, or just what you're used to?" He paused. No one had ever asked him that before. The next day, he stood in line a little longer than usual, and when it was his turn, he looked up at the menu and really looked at it this time. There were flavors he had never noticed, possibilities he had never considered. He took a breath and said, "Okay, today I'll try something different." The first sip was surprising: richer, warmer, more complex than anything he'd had before, and something shifted, not just in his taste, but in his thinking. Over the next few weeks, he began to experiment: different drinks, different combinations, and what he realized was it wasn't just about the coffee. For years, he'd been living his life the same way, ordering his drink the same way: safe, predictable, unchanging, calling it "who I am," when really it was just what he'd been doing. So often, I think we confuse habit with identity. We say, "I'm not creative, I'm not outgoing, I'm not that kind of person." But maybe we've just been ordering the same version of ourselves every day, when the truth is we are far more expansive than our habitual patterns. And yes, even your coffee order. There are flavors of you you haven't yet experienced, and expressions of you that you haven't yet lived. And just like the coffee man discovered, sometimes discovering who you are starts with being willing to try something new. So while the lady with the violin and the coffee man are two different stories, the stories have something in common. And you probably notice that both of them move us into something deeper in this talk: learning more about you. Where in your life have you been ordering the same version of yourself and calling it who you are? Let that sit for a few seconds. Really think about it, because answering that question might be the beginning of the real transformation for you. You are not a copy. You are not replaceable. You are a unique expression of life itself. Christian Sorensen teaches, "You are an original creation, not a duplicate." So the question becomes, do you know yourself? Not your roles like I'm a mom, a daughter, a son, a wife, a husband. Not your labels. I'm an engineer, a nurse, a helper. Do you know your essence? In Luke 17:21, Jesus says in the Bible, the kingdom of God is within you. And yet, many of us spend more time scrolling, comparing, reacting, rather than actually listening inward. My dean, Reverend Catherine Economo, used to say that true spiritual growth comes from authentic self-expression, not suppressing who we are, revealing it. And I know I find it difficult sometimes in certain situations to reveal who I really am. Can you relate to that? I'm sure most of us can. It can feel scary to speak up and to express who you really are in some situations. And the more we do it, the more we might find that it becomes more comfortable just to be who we are. So back to that question. Do you know yourself? Here's a spiritual practice that might help you with that. I call it the daily you time. Spend 10 to 15 minutes daily alone. No phones, no distractions. And ask yourself these 3 questions. What lights me up? What drains me? What wants to be expressed through me? Then listen, not for perfection, rather for truth. I invited you to notice this week, when you move your body, life flows. And when you expect good, life expands. And when you know yourself, life expresses uniquely through you as you. A couple weeks ago, I used this quote of Jonathan Parker that I want to repeat. Your life expands in proportion to the vision you are willing to hold. Parker teaches us that we must align thought and feeling to create transformation. And today, we're talking about aligning 3 aspects of our lives: movement, expectation, and self-awareness. When we do that, when we move and expect great things and become more self-aware, we do indeed create transformation. So here's a spiritual practice to help you bring all those 3 things together: movement, expectation, and knowing yourself better. I call it a practical daily framework. Every morning, move your body for at least 5 minutes and set expectations. Today, good is coming to me. And then in the middle of the day, pause and check in with yourself. Have you been moving? Have you been expecting your good? And in the evening, reflect. Where did I see good today? Where was I most alive? Your job is not to dim your light or question its worth. Your job is to care for your vessel, that body of yours, to trust the light, expect your good, and to let it shine in your own unique way. Let your life force shine. Because when you do that, you don't just change your life, you illuminate the path for others. So remember this: you are not a self that you have to fix. Rather, you're a self you're here to discover. So gently ask yourself, if I truly trusted who I am, how would I live? If I truly trusted who I am, how would I live? And if you're not sure yet, that's okay. Start small. Maybe tomorrow, move your body just a little, expect something good that's small, and order a slightly fancier version of yourself. No whipped cream or special flavors required unless that's your path. And maybe, just maybe, the life you're meant to live isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow. Like that woman with the violin, the music is already within you. And like the man with the coffee, there's more available than you've been choosing. And like the lighthouse, you don't have to earn your light. You already are it. So, in summary, how might you embrace you? Well, see moving your body as a spiritual act. Dance, move, enjoy your life. It's not stagnant, it's meant to flow. And allow it to flow through you as you. Expect more good in your life. Know that the universe responds to what we believe is possible. So expect miracles so that you'll see them and your life will expand. And learn more about your unique life force. Quit ordering the same version of you. Explore. Remember, you're here to discover who you are. And trust your light and let it shine in your own unique way. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly, energetically, and effortlessly see moving my body as a spiritual act, expect more good in my life, and learn more about my unique life force? Take time each day this week to ask yourself, if I truly trusted who I am, how would I live? If I truly trusted who I am, how would I live? Choose to be the lighthouse and shine so brightly that others benefit from your light. And of course, I always encourage you to commit to doing some spiritual practices that help you deepen this lesson. Let's pray. We pause, we take a breath, we return within, closing your eyes if that's comfortable. There is one life. That life is perfect, whole, complete, and that life is expressing as each of us, uniquely, beautifully, powerfully. I affirm that we are awakening now, awakening to our bodies as sacred, awakening to our minds as creative, and awakening to our lives as meaningful. I know that each person heard something in this time we spent together today that encourages them to move with life, to expect greater good, and to trust the uniqueness within them, and not to wait for life to happen, rather to live it right here and right now. I know we are seeing with new eyes, thinking with greater wisdom, and acting from deeper love, knowing our bodies are sacred and our lives are unfolding perfectly. And our presence here matters, just as each lighthouse on every beach matters. I see each of us being the embodiment of divine love, that love that guides our steps with wisdom and fills our days with gentleness and with vision. I see each of us rooted in peace and lifted by love, choosing to live in divine alignment with the truth of our being, and knowing that all that we are and all that we can become is love. So may the tapestry of our lives continue to unfold in beauty, purpose, and love, and may we each shine our light now. I'm grateful for each person who chose to spend some time with us today, and I know that we are going forth with an open heart trusting the light within us, expecting the good before us, and courageously expressing the uniqueness that each of us are. So it's from this gratitude and with great joy, bliss, and blessings that I trust this word and I release it into the law, knowing that the yes has been said, it is done, complete, fulfilled, so I can let it be. I say amen, and I invite you to affirm it with me. And so it is. And I am so grateful for everyone that continues to support us. We're still paying for that computer and software, and your dollars are going to help us stay in business and continue to provide online services. So thank you very much. Enjoy our offertory song.